Hi everyone, this is Natalie and I'm going to be teaching about the environmental chemistry of interior design. So to start, let's first look at the actual definition of interior design. The Council for Interior Design Qualification defines interior design as a distinct profession with specialized knowledge applied to the planning and design of interior environments that promote health, safety, and welfare while supporting and enhancing the human experience. Founded upon design and human behavior theories and research, interior designers apply evidence-based methodologies to identify, analyze, and synthesize information in generating holistic, technical, creative, and contextually appropriate design solutions. So this official definition may be a little confusing. Basically, interior design brings together aesthetics and functionality with the goal of improving the experience of the user. This is often confused with interior decoration, which doesn't require a degree or license to practice. The main difference is that a decorator comes in after the design is done and works within what is already constructed to make it more attractive. Interior design, however, involves a lot of science, and much of that actually involves the environment, both negatively and positively. I will be covering two general topics in this presentation: manufactured products and wasteful practices. So, one of the most significant ways that interior design affects the environment is through manufactured products, and I'll be talking about three specific industries today. First, the wood industry is obviously very intertwined with the design of interior spaces, and many manufactured products from this industry have an effect on the environment. Interior design incorporates wood through building materials, furniture, and flooring. Wood and furniture materials include hard and soft woods and wood products like plywood and MDF. For example, MDF is a composite that is formed when bits of soft wood, fiberglass, and other materials are pressed into a dense board that can be used as a cheaper alternative to hardwoods. This product is often bonded with urea formaldehyde that acts as an adhesive to keep the material together. This compound off-gases as a VOC into indoor spaces, reducing the indoor air quality. Researchers from the USDA Forest Service have also found that other VOCs like hexanol, acetone, toluene, alpha-pinene, long-chain alkanes, limonene, and pentanol are also found off-gassing from wood products. This graph here shows the average VOC emission factors for different wood products. These VOCs react with nitric oxide in the atmosphere and sunlight to create smog and ground-level ozone. Ground-level ozone can block many plant species' ability to photosynthesize, and especially sensitive plants, like many trees here in the US, can be harmed and throw off the balance of entire ecosystems. 38% of all greenhouse gas emissions come from buildings in industrialized countries. The plastic industry is also a huge part of the interior design field. One of the main plastics used often in interior design is PVC. PVC is found in vinyl flooring, such as sheet vinyl, vinyl tile, and luxury vinyl tile, baseboards, and wall coverings, among other products. PVC is created when ethylene and chlorine combine to create a chloroethene monomer, which undergoes free radical vinyl polymerization. Greenpeace.org refers to PVC as the most environmentally damaging plastic, or the poison plastic. This is because during the production of PVC, atomic chlorine is released into the atmosphere, where it contributes to the depletion of ozone. Chlorine can also combine with carbon and fluorine to create chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, which persist in the atmosphere due to a lack of a tropospheric sink. Once these compounds rise into the stratosphere and come into contact with UVC, they are photodecomposed into atomic chlorine again and continue to cause destruction of the ozone layer. Of the three flooring types listed earlier, luxury vinyl tile has the lowest concentration of PVC, and sustainable designers often choose this option if they must use vinyl flooring. Acrylic plastic, or polymethylmethacrylate, is another common plastic used in interior design. It comes in practically any color and is a very versatile material. You may know it as plexiglass, and it's used in windows, room separators, wall paneling, decorative accents, and even furniture. This plastic, like most other plastics, doesn't break down, and it persists in the environment for virtually forever. The textile industry is the third industry that I will be discussing in relation to interior design and chemistry. Many of the main textiles used in interior design fall under either synthetic fabrics or natural fabrics. Two common synthetic textiles are polyester and nylon. Polyester is a thermoplastic polymer that is created using ethylene glycol, which is petroleum derived, and terephthalic acid. Polyester starts out as a dyed solution and is then extruded at high speeds through tiny holes in an extruder to create long, thin threads, which can then be wound onto spools and used for weaving fabrics. Polyester is hydrophobic and has excellent abrasion resistance, resiliency, and tenacity. This makes it a great choice for long-term and heavy-use products, but unfortunately its production is environmentally harmful. It uses a lot of water during production, and this water becomes wastewater contaminated with harmful compounds. In one polyester manufacturing facility in Indonesia, the liquid waste's initial chemical oxygen demand levels were 10,000 to 12,000 parts per million. This water was then treated to reduce the COD to 20 to 40 ppm within a government-regulated level before they were released. This shows you just how toxic the initial byproducts are, and without regulation, they would be causing even more water pollution. And like many synthetic materials, its production releases gases like CO2, NO, and atomic CO. Nylon is a thermoplastic polyamide and is used for furniture upholstery, pillows, wall coverings, and carpeting, among other products. This is because it has excellent abrasion resistance and strength, good elongation, excellent elastic recovery, and high resiliency and dimensional stability. 80% of all carpeting manufactured is made from nylon. Nylon requires even more energy and water to produce than polyester does, and its production releases a significant amount of nitrous oxide, which, as previously discussed, reacts with VOCs, oxygen, and sunlight to produce ground-level ozone. It also produces HNO3, which is another pollutant that contributes to the makeup of smog. Both of these synthetic textiles are not biodegradable, and they persist in the environment. I won't go too in-depth on natural textiles, but common ones are cotton, flax, or linen, and wool. While these textiles do require energy and water to produce, especially in the case of wool due to having to rear sheep, they do significantly less environmental damage due to their ability to break down. Now I'd like to talk about some of the wasteful practices that can unfortunately take place in interior design. I have observed many of these things in my time studying interior design and when working with and as a designer. Many people are looking to stay trendy when designing and redesigning a space, and when someone changes their interior design frequently, they typically can't afford new, sustainable, and durable products every time. Many people turn to cheaper alternatives, like plastics and MDF, to keep up to date on interior trends. Another wasteful practice is the use of non-renewable materials, which are materials that cannot be replenished quickly enough to keep up with how fast they are consumed. An example of this is old-growth timber used in building construction. As you can see in this diagram about two different kinds of framing, there's a big difference in the length of logs needed between the two. In balloon framing, old-growth timber is needed for wood to span multiple stories. In platform framing, shorter lengths of wood can be used because each floor is broken up by its subfloor. This means that the wood used takes less time to grow and is more renewable. Finally, the third wasteful practice is throwing things out when they could be recycled or given to someone else to reuse. So, what does all this have to do with our health? Well, I'm going to discuss 3 main hazards regarding human health as it relates to interior design. As discussed earlier in this presentation, many of the manufacturing practices produce both air and water pollution. Air pollution is hazardous for human health because compounds like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, lead, and ozone, among others, all affect the functioning of various human organs and even cause premature death in some cases. For example, ozone is a respiratory irritant and can increase the risk of asthma and other respiratory conditions. For another example, carbon monoxide is a dangerous pollutant because the hemoglobin in our blood that carries oxygen throughout our bodies can link up with carbon monoxide even easier. When the hemoglobin is full of CO, it can no longer carry oxygen to vital organs like our brains. Some materials used throughout the history of interior design have been proven to be unsafe for human exposure. You've probably heard that many old buildings, especially those built between 1930 and 1950, used asbestos as insulation and in flooring. Before the ban of asbestos in the late 1970s, it was a common material found in the home and commercial buildings. Indoor air in asbestos-laden buildings can have concentrations of anywhere from 30 to 6,000 fibers per cubic meter. When someone breathes in these fibers, the fibers collect onto respiratory cells and are absorbed into the bloodstream, where they can become deposited into various tissues. This can cause scarification, reducing the functionality of organs, and usually leads to cancer. A study released this year by Duke University found that children living in the home with all vinyl flooring or flame-retardant chemicals in the sofa have significantly higher concentrations of potentially harmful semi-volatile organic compounds, also known as SVOCs, in their blood or urine than children from homes where these materials are not present. These compounds can cause many conditions, including neurological delays, endocrine function disruption, thyroid disorders, and even cancer. Finally, sick building syndrome is an interesting condition that is related to indoor air quality. Basically, it's the onset and persistence of various symptoms that are relieved only if the affected individual leaves the building. This condition isn't tied to one material or substance, and common symptoms include impaired cognitive function, respiratory irritation, dryness or itchiness of mucous membranes and skin, fatigue, and even personality changes. Interior designers must be educated in this condition so they can take steps to prevent the onset. Some things that designers can do include increasing air ventilation, making sure windows can at least be cracked if needed, and choosing low or no VOC products like paint, flooring, and adhesives. Now that I've mentioned so many negative environmental effects of this industry, what are we doing today to alleviate the harmful effects? To detail a lot of the good that's happening in interior design, I want to focus on the company Interface Carpeting as an example of how we can practice more sustainable design. Interface produces carpet tile and luxury vinyl tile. The carpet tile has a nylon fiber surface, the fluffy side, and a vinyl backing. They have a product take-back initiative where whenever companies or individuals are done with their carpeting or luxury vinyl tile and are ready to throw it out, Interface will come and collect the soiled material and reuse 100% of it. For the carpet tile, the nylon is stripped of the backing and is melted down to be re-extruded as new nylon yarn. The backing is ground up into vinyl pellets and melted and reformed into new carpet backing. For the used luxury vinyl tile, it is also ground up and turned into carpet backing. Additionally, the use of tiles in carpeting and vinyl is much more sustainable because when part of it is ruined, that one tile or few tiles can be replaced rather than all of it having to be ripped up in large sheets and replaced. Interface also runs their factories off of clean energy. Their factories are purposefully located near landfills so they can pipe the methane that is generated from the decomposing garbage into their factories and burn that rather than burning fossil fuels and letting the methane from the landfills release up into the atmosphere and contribute to the greenhouse gas. A more recent project was launched by Interface called Net Effect, where they're now recovering loose nylon fishing nets from oceans and melting them down to make recyclable carpeting instead. These loose nets rip apart coral reefs when they get stuck and ocean waves pull them along, and larger animals such as fish, dolphins, sharks, manatees, and whales get caught up in the nets and die due to strangulation or starvation. If a carpeting company can do all this good and still stay at the top of their industry, imagine what other companies can do in their respective industries to cut down on humans' negative environmental impact. So, what does the future of interior design look like? Well, hopefully we can start seeing the increased use of recycled materials, government regulations that ban the use of harmful compounds in interior products, and more clean energy use in production and manufacturing. Luckily, a lot of this starts with you and me. We can make cleaner and greener choices in different aspects of our lives, like in our homes and offices, and reduce our negative impact on the chemistry of our environment. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned something. If you would like to learn more, I have included my references used in this presentation at the end.